The 5G build-out is going to be very infrastructure intensive, requiring massive deployment of small cells.
Spectrum is invisible infrastructure. We may not be able to see it, but it is where we are going to build our economic future. Because with 5G connectivity, we are looking at a world where everything is connected.
America's local governments will play an important role in determining how we fulfill this national priority. In addition,
are we falling behind on infrastructure as a nation?
Well, I think we're not thinking about it right. So we're falling behind for sure, but we're not thinking about it right, because what we're really talking about, when you talk about Industry 4.0 and the new Industrial Revolution, we're really talking about the digitization and electrification of our infrastructure, and infrastructure becomes the brains of our economy. It really becomes absolutely critical. And we're not spending enough time on it. We're not bringing enough private investment into infrastructure, and we're not allowing the kind of innovation that we have to see, because we got to move a lot faster. You know, we were talking to the Colonel last night. It takes 8.5 years just to get a highway approved in the U.S., so we have to change a few things around.
So what do we need to do?
We need to do a lot. Well, one of the things we need to do is do a little bit more, put a little more Texas attitude in Washington. I think that would be helpful, because you guys get things done.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, and you don't wait for permission to get things done. You know, what are kind of thing. Now it's a first order priority. It's going to operate at the same level as critical national security. Unbelievably important. And when we think about infrastructure, we think about it in national security terms, because it's a 30 to 40 year decision that you're making. When you make an investment right now, needs to last and serve us for 30 to 40 years. And if you think about the other piece of it, which is the digitization and electrification of our infrastructure, you're going to upgrade that infrastructure with new software every year or every 3 months. So you've got to think very differently about what we're doing. Well, yes, is it about half of the money that we're talking about appropriating can come from the private sector? Yep. And I think it's absolutely critical. You know, we've designed a highway in Ohio, a $1 billion highway with 7 different revenue sources. A lot of digital revenue is going to be driven off of that highway project. These are digital ecosystems. That's the way to think about it. It's just wrong to think about this. You know, you think about the connected battlefield. I mean, that's the way we need to think about our productive ecosystem. You're talking about, you know, you talked about advanced manufacturing, but you're talking about advanced agriculture and advanced logistics. You know,
there is a growing sentiment that data is the new oil, which means that it's going to be the place where nation states compete, and it'll be something that, you know, the United States has some catch up to do.
You know, hopefully we'll see it with some of the work that's happening out. I mean, you guys are getting involved in robotics, autonomous vehicles, not only for defense, but just in general.
That's right. Air, ground, ground, air. We're looking at resilient networks. How do you work in a degraded or challenged network? I mean, these are all things that are kind of futuristic. This is the way the future of battlefield is going to look like. To Norman's point, everything's going to be connected.
All right, so Norm, we have an idea. A bunch of us from this, from White Texas and from this summit, we want to put together like a private coalition of business owners, executives, to work on this collaboration on infrastructure. What do you think? Good idea?
I think it's a tremendous idea. I think it's what's missing. And this idea, you know, somebody has to lead the process, right? And that's not what's happening right now. So if you guys could get up in the morning and lead the process, I think the whole country would follow. I think you have a moral obligation to push forward with this idea.
That's right.
Moral obligation.
All right. So Colonel Gibb, we have one proposition for him. He's got to move to Texas.
It's not a bad
Wait,
idea.
we need you. You're across the street from the White House, so maybe you need to stay there.
Well, I can live in both places. I can live in both places.
All right.
But you know, you've got vision here and you've got momentum here.
Yeah.
So you got a tremendous team.
Yeah.
You got foreign policy. You've got domestic policy, driving national security. I think we have something here. And then you guys are going to finance it with the coalition you're going to put together.
We'll get the line of credit going.
Yeah, we're moving in the right direction.
Well, look, I appreciate both of you making the trip into Dallas-Fort Worth.
Thank you.
Excellent book. You need to get it, and it'll be available on our website. We'll throw it on our website.
Thank you.
Technological revolution and exploring uncharted areas of science and space. JFK's vision charted a path that took us to the moon and laid out the foundation of the internet. This July 14th, 56 years less one day from when JFK talked about the new frontier, we will have the opportunity to take an historic step to open up yet another frontier that promises to propel our nation and the world forward. Once again, we're looking to the sky to unlock new discoveries and unleash American ingenuity. We are the pioneers of a new spectrum frontier. Working together, we can write this next chapter in the mobile revolution, a revolution that has already transformed our lives and society. Working together, we can unleash new waves of innovation and discovery that we have yet to imagine. Thank you very much. The big game changer is that 5G will use much higher frequency bands than previously thought viable for mobile broadband and other applications. Such millimeter wave signals have physical properties that are both a limitation and a strength. They tend to... But brilliant engineers have developed new antennas that can aim and amplify signals, coupled with sophisticated processing that allows a moving device to pick up all of the signals that are bouncing around and create one coherent connection. Now, to make this
of our time, I'm convinced that we are at the cusp of a transformational moment in transportation policy and investment. By the way, preparing for AVs is as much about smart roadways as it is smart vehicles. In fact, in many ways, it's really there that we want to begin so that we could establish kind of corridors where, at least on the commercial side, you could accelerate adoption.
Is on the infrastructure side. Consumers don't drive infrastructure investment. That's done at the enterprise level. So we're looking at enterprises that need to invest in a technology that, quite frankly, they haven't determined, what the business model is. So this is really the chicken and egg problem. How do you spur investment in what is really an enterprise investment, not a consumer purchase? When I hear the telecom industry talk about it, they're not really talking about 5G. 5G is not really about faster speeds. It's really about building an industrial internet that provides for automation, self-driving cars, Industry 4.0.
For example, 5G has the potential to pave the way for the widespread adoption of precision agriculture, which uses tools like robotics and remote monitoring to help farmers manage their fields and boost their crop yields. 5G will pave the way for automated vehicles, which have the potential to dramatically reduce traffic injuries and fatalities. So there's 37,000 people lost every year on America's highways due to traffic accidents. Over 90% of those are a result of human error, driving under the influence, driving while distracted. 5G technology and the enablement of automated vehicles will go a long ways towards saving lives on America's highways. It will facilitate The widespread deployment of 5G will require two things: adequate spectrum and adequate infrastructure. 5G has the potential to add $500 billion to the economy and to create literally millions of new jobs. If we want to stay at the head of the race to 5G, the government needs to make sure that wireless companies have access to the necessary spectrum and the ability to efficiently deploy small cell infrastructure.
$576 billion of new federal spending on infrastructure is a record investment. And we're not just talking about roads and bridges, we're talking about broadband, we're talking about making our grid a lot smarter. We're even including investments for electric vehicle charging stations. But I would point out, just 2 weeks ago, the Senate, in a bipartisan fashion, put together a $250 billion bill to deal with China and take on issues like semiconductors.
That's the challenge that we face today. So, I mean, if you really want to make your country competitive for the future, you're going to have to look at this more as a national strategic investment and somehow stimulate that with policy.
In many ways, all of the promises of IoT connected devices, Internet of Things devices, from driverless cars to all of the sensors that IoT connected devices are going to depend upon, that's all going to ride upon a 5G network. So it's critically important that the United States and, on a broader level, the West get 5G right and lead the world in this development.
I think we need to go ahead and provide ubiquitous, high-speed broadband across the whole country. Make the same commitment that Franklin Roosevelt made in the 1930s with rural electrification. We can do that now. I think there are things that we should be doing during the pandemic where we actually allow existing internet service providers to turn up the power so there's additional relief provided.